she disappeared. For the residents of West Valley City, Utah, it happened instantly, inexplicably, and without reason. Just recently, a family lived in a small private house at the very end of West Sarah Circle, a family whose happiness many neighbors envied. The father went on a trip with his sons, and when he returned, his wife Susan Powell was gone, without a trace or a single clue as to where she might have gone. They got married when she was 20 and he was 25. Josh was a programmer and Susan was a bank broker. Both came from religious families. Both were members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or Mormons for short. The couple lived with Josh's father in Portland for a while before moving into their own home in Utah. They had 2 children. When Susan disappeared, their eldest was just 5 years old. Friends said they were a model family. Susan Marie Cox was born on October 16, 1981, in Alamogordo, New Mexico, but grew up in Puyallup, Washington. She was 18 years old and studying cosmetology when she met Josh Powell. The couple married at an LDS temple in Portland, Oregon, on April 6, 2001. They initially lived with Powell's father and worked together in a nursing home. 2 years later, they moved to West Valley City, and in 2005 and 2007, they had 2 sons, Charles and Braden. They seemed like a happy family, but by 2009, Susan had already written a will in which she indicated that she might disappear and that this won't be an accident, even if it might look like one. And then she really did disappear. The police turned their attention to Josh and uncovered a lot of interesting details. Josh Powell was born on January 20th, 1976, to a Mormon family. His father, Steve Powell, grew up in Portland and joined the LDS Church later in life. In 2004, the young couple moved to West Valley City, Utah, outside Salt Lake City, and everything changed. Many family friends noticed that Josh would publicly insult Susan. There were reports that, at home, he would hit his wife. Susan genuinely couldn't understand the reason for such a drastic change in her husband's character. From a cheerful and caring spouse, Josh had turned into a cold and constantly dissatisfied tyrant. In Utah, the couple found new jobs. Josh started his own business creating websites while Susan got a job at a bank. But things didn't go equally well for them. Soon, the programmer found himself in debt and declared bankruptcy with $200,000 in debt. After that, Susan became the primary and sole breadwinner for the family. She handed over her entire paycheck to her husband, who would buy himself various gadgets and remote-controlled cars while telling his wife that she was spending too much on herself. On June 28, 2008, Susan Powell wrote a letter titled "The Last Will and Testament of Susan Powell" for her friends and family, which she kept in a bank's safe deposit box, hidden from her husband. In this will, Susan wrote that she did not trust her husband and that he had threatened to destroy her if they ever divorced. Susan also wrote that their marriage was in complete chaos. Around the same time, following the advice of her lawyer, Susan recorded a video detailing her possessions, motivated by a fear that Josh might sell her valuable belongings. In the letter, she wrote, "If I die, my death cannot be an accident, even if it may seem like one." At noon on December 6, 2009, Susan attended Sunday service at church with her sons. She returned home with her friend Joanna, whom she had invited for lunch. That day, Josh was in an unusually good mood. He warmly greeted the women and even made pancakes for them. Joanna thought the Powells seemed like the perfect family. Around 5 o'clock, Susan said goodbye to her friend and was looking forward to a romantic evening that Josh, who was unexpectedly caring, appeared to have planned. The next day, on Monday at 9:30 a.m., a daycare worker who looked after the Powell children called Josh's mother and sister, informing them that the boys had not shown up and that he couldn't reach their parents. The family immediately contacted the police. The police arrived at the Powell home right away, but found the house empty. The car was missing from the garage, and the doors were wide open. There were no signs of theft or struggle inside. However, the officers noticed a wet spot on the living room couch with 2 fans directed at it, set up to dry it. Later that day, the entire family was declared missing. Around 5 p.m., Josh Powell returned home with the boys, but Susan was not with them. He told the police that around 12:30 a.m. he had taken the children on a camping trip, despite the fact that the temperature outside was below freezing and there was a severe snowstorm. According to Josh, they spent the entire night and half of the following day at the Simpson Springs campground, 85 miles west of their home in Utah. Josh claimed that Susan had been at home, sound asleep, when they left the night before, and he had no idea where she was now. Meanwhile, Susan did not show up for work and was never seen again. Her purse, wallet, and documents remained at home. Josh and his sons were taken to the police station for a more thorough interrogation. There, Josh explained that his wife didn't want to go camping with them because she was tired. She had been asleep when he packed their gear and left with the boys for the woods. According to him, that was the last time he saw Susan. A detective immediately noticed that Josh seemed completely unconcerned about his wife's fate, answering all questions calmly. He never asked if the police had found any leads on Susan's whereabouts, nor did he offer his help. Meanwhile, in the next room, the Powell children were being questioned. Charlie, who was almost 5 years old at the time, was very talkative. When asked who went on the camping trip, the boy confidently said that he went to the woods with his dad, little brother, and mom. He then added that his mom didn't come back home because she stayed where the crystals are. This information was immediately relayed to the detective still interrogating Josh. When Josh was asked how he could explain this, he simply responded that Charlie often made things up and that it wasn't true. Later, a child psychologist who questioned the Powell sons reported that the younger son, Braden, said that his mom had ridden in the trunk during the trip. Josh dismissed this as well, attributing it to the children's vivid imaginations. During a second search of the Powell home, police confiscated computers, hard drives, and cameras. They also seized a vacuum cleaner and a rug doctor cleaning machine, which Josh claimed he used to clean the couch. Detectives sprayed a chemical reagent on the couch to reveal any hidden bloodstains, which would glow blue under the treatment. A blue mark appeared on the headrest of the couch. Later, forensic tests confirmed that the blood belonged to Susan. However, that wasn't the only trace of Susan's blood found in the area Josh had meticulously cleaned with the carpet cleaner. Investigators also noticed tiny droplets on the tile near the couch, each the size of a pen tip. Detective Ellis Maxwell described them as if someone had leaned over the edge, coughing or sneezing blood. The presence of Susan's blood in the house wasn't definitive proof of murder. The amount of blood was small, and at the time, the police couldn't be certain how long the stains had been there or what had caused them. On Wednesday, December 10th, the police visited the Simpson Springs campground but found no evidence that the Powells had ever been there. The police did not believe Josh's alibi about taking the children camping at night, especially since he was supposed to be at work the next day, and the boys were expected at daycare. Josh explained his absence from work by claiming that he had confused the days of the week and thought it was Sunday, not Monday. Just a week after Susan's disappearance, Josh went to a local bank and, using a power of attorney, withdrew all the money from their accounts. From the outside, it appeared that the man was not at all concerned about his wife's fate. The police painstakingly pieced together everything related to the missing woman. They collected letters, photos, and bills. At Josh's father's house, they discovered notebooks filled with diaries, and with them, more secrets were revealed. It turned out that Steven Powell was obsessed with his daughter-in-law, Susan. His infatuation bordered on fanaticism. The diaries were filled with thousands of words describing how beautiful she was and how he dreamed of marrying her. Steven's obsession manifested itself in even more disturbing ways. In his bedroom closet, the police found Susan's dirty underwear, used tampons, pads, and other personal hygiene items, all neatly packed in bags with dates. But that wasn't all. Steven had been secretly stalking her and taking photos. Over 4,000 covertly taken photographs and videos were found on his computer. Susan had suspected this and had wanted to move out of Steven's house as soon as possible during the first year of her marriage. On the same computer, police found nude photos of neighborhood girls. Steven quickly became the prime suspect. He was sentenced to 2 years in prison for possessing child pornography, but they were unable to prove his involvement in Susan's disappearance. Then, a tragedy occurred that put an end to the investigation. After his father's arrest, Josh temporarily lost custody of his children, who were sent to live with Susan's parents, Charles and Judy Cox. However, Josh was still allowed to visit the boys several times a week under the supervision of social services. On Sunday, February 5, 2012, social worker Elizabeth Griffin brought the Powell boys for a supervised visit with their father, Josh. The meeting was supposed to be monitored, but as soon as the children entered the house, Josh locked the door from the inside and refused to let Griffin in. The social worker immediately called 911 to report the incident, stating that she smelled gasoline and could hear the boys crying. Moments later, an explosion rocked the house, and within seconds, flames consumed the structure. As investigations later revealed, Josh Powell had meticulously planned his suicide and the murder of his children. The day before, he had donated his son's toys to charity, set aside money to cover bills, and left a voicemail for his relatives that morning saying, "Hi, this is Josh, and I'm calling to say goodbye. I can't live without my sons. I'm sorry to everyone I've hurt. Goodbye." The official cause of death for Josh and the boys was determined to be carbon monoxide poisoning, though the coroner also noted that both children had significant head and neck injuries. A hatchet was found near Josh's body, and investigators believe he attacked the boys before they succumbed to the toxic fumes. Charlie and Braden were buried at Woodbine Cemetery, where a monument to their mother also stands. Josh Powell's remains were cremated. Josh's father, Steve Powell, was convicted on 14 counts of voyeurism and sentenced to 2.5 years in prison in June 2012. In August 2015, while still incarcerated, he received an additional 5 years for possession of child pornography. Steve was released on parole in July 2017, but died of a heart attack a year later in July 2018 at the age of 68. To this day, the fate of Susan Cox Powell and the location of her body remain a mystery. The police officially closed the active investigation in 2013. And that concludes our coverage of this tragic story. If you found this video informative or thought-provoking, Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more updates on cases like these. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Feel free to share this video with your friends and give it a thumbs up if you found it valuable. Thank you for watching.